It's going to be so difficult now because they made it to the grand finals against NRG, but now they're down 0-2. They have to win 3 in a row against NRG, which is unheard of in Smite history.
Now, Ataraxia and PrettyPriMe have been in a situation very similar to this before in Worlds, and they came back and they won 2 games, couldn't quite find the 5th, but as well, that wasn't against NRG. And when's the last time somebody won just 2 games in a row against NRG?
Oh, I believe that was yesterday when LG won 2 games against NRG. Listen, if it bleeds, you kill it, okay? It is possible to take down NRG. They simply just have to get out of their own heads. You know, you kind of see it in the gameplay, right? And as soon as that Erlang Shen pick went through and they countered immediately with the Poseidon, it really felt like their plan crumbled. And then you also have CaptainTwig, who just could not find anything with the Erlang Shen.
You can tell why these two are so much in their heads for how long they've been scrimming together. Normally teams don't, first pick Erlang Shen this early in the draft, especially the way Worlds meta has kind of developed with the first pick Sylvanus, first pick Zeus earlier on, and now all of a sudden, where does Zeus go? Starting to get banned away now.
And another thing too, you mentioned Sylvanus. I mean, it hasn't been as effective as I'm sure they would want it to be. I know that he was having a hard time being able to build, but still, it has struggled quite a bit, guys. But it's time now for Game 3. Can NRG close it out here as the bans come through? And Tier's going to go first for NRG.
Obey now opting to go for the second pick, maybe trying to go for a counter pick matchup against Adapting. You have to see CaptainTwig make a bounce back in this 3rd crucial game.
And sometimes when things aren't going your way, just mix it up. Try something new, get a different perspective. For now, they're going to go for that second pick where you got, once again, Nike off the table.
There's going to be so much left open, though. Sylvanus is going to be open. Khepri as well. Ra is still available. I feel like, for some reason, that all of a sudden, we're going to see more Khepri because iRaffer has been doing such a great job on this god, keeping all of his carries alive.
At this point, it's so hard for Obey. Do you ban the Janus? Do you ban the Khepri? Do you ban the Chronos? There's so many gods that have been so problematic for them in every single game, and so all they can do is take away one of them, and perhaps they'll try to pick the 3rd.
The god pool is very diverse for NRG indeed. Still waiting on the second ban from Obey to see how they opt for it, but also they have to be able to bounce back mentally, and like we mentioned before, iRaffer on this Khepri is just too much to handle. Now it's going to be a lot easier to take out these carries.
But because of that, the Zeus was left on the table. NRG didn't have to ban it this time. They have the first pick, which means they're allowed to pick up their favorite god, Zeus.
That laugh was rather ominous as well. I'm not even going to front there. The Zeus coming out, it was almost like it was an omen there, but seems like Obey, they are favoring that Sylvanus first pick.
It's always a great opportunity to pick up the Sylvanus. You have so many defensive opportunities to keep your carries alive. You also have the pulls through the wall if you ever get it. Ratatoskr for Twig, although that could also be for variety. We've seen it before earlier on in this event.
He shredded with that too, by the way. Really, really good.
It could. We got some boos in the crowd for the Sylvanus there. They're not happy to see that going back to PandaLike, having a lot of deaths getting picked off in that character. I think they wanted to see him on a safer god.
When we hear the name PandaLike, we think of aggressive gods. We think of Bacchus, we think of Fafnir, gods that are going to get in your face and set up the team. Now granted, Sylvanus can do the same, but he's going to have to invest into Blink to do so. But now, another defensive god for iRaffer on the Geb.
When you can't get the Khepri, go to the next best thing. You've got Geb shields. His job has strictly been keep Yammyn alive. And once again, with Yammyn on the Zeus, nothing better than a Geb shield to keep you up and running.
And now in the 3rd game, for the 3rd game in a row, emilitoo's going to take the Chronos, and Poseidon this time for PrettyPriMe. We saw last game what Yammyn was able to do. We'll see, surely, Obey's mid lane, and PrettyPriMe will do the same.
If I was Obey right now, I'd be quivering a little bit. NRG's composition is exactly what they've been wanting this entire tournament. The problem is they've had this generic idea of what they want to be running, and there's no way to ban everything, and you got to switch your bans every game. You're like, well, this game the Khepri is too much. Oh, this game the Zeus was too much. But every game they're going to pick the rest of those gods that you left open.
This is the grand finals best of 5 set game 3, and the meta has developed in such a way where we're starting to see Poseidon come out of nowhere and being prioritized before the secondary ban phase. And now we're going to see Fenrir and Freya off the board.
Magical ADCs have been quite popular this tournament. Ataraxia as well, favoring that Freya. We saw him play it quite well in some of his games earlier this tournament. They're not going to give him that opportunity. Don't put Ataraxia on a hyper carry. Keep one of their best players down.
He hasn't been really showing up, I would say, in this grand finals as opposed to his earlier sets against Soar and Eager. So it's going to be interesting to see if he's able to bounce back in basically the death game. Every single game from here on out is elimination game for Obey.
It's been hard for anybody to show up against NRG. They've been playing so incredibly well, and Obey did have a shot in the first game, but we're going to be looking at another magical ADC here. We've got the Soul locked in.
And it's a great pickup. It's relatively safe as long as you can time your Disapparate very effectively. He has the lane clear potentially, but look at this though, Susanoo being hovered over. A lot of aggressive opportunities. If you can manage to pull somebody in a little bit closer to Yammyn Zeus, that's going to be problematic for Obey, but it's going to be the mid to late game god Amaterasu for Dimi.
Amaterasu has been quite a popular pick this game for the solo, and once again we get adapting back onto Nemesis.
Great choice to be able to burst somebody down with the Zeus Geb. Gonna try to find the setup. We could potentially see an early blink, maybe look for some kill opportunities. Already though, Kali
hovering over some hyper carry Kali right now. I cannot, they won't do it.
I mean, Obey is not a team to really troll, right? So this has to be legit.
Hey, when you're in a pickle and you got your back against the line, what do you whip out? You bring out a hyper carry, but it's not going to be the Kali, it's going to be the Mercury.
Mercury is also another great carry god as long as you have the crits in your favor. Once we get to that phase, CaptainTwig could potentially 2 to 3 shot with both Zeus and Chronos, especially before the important rewind.
It's gonna be a close game. That Mercury could have the entire hands of this team's tournament line in them.
I mean, where does it go from here? Where does it go from here? Who do you got?
NRG are gonna sweep. This is their year.
It's too hard to vote against NRG at this point.
The desk is unified, guys. Make some noise. Game 3 is about to begin for the Smite World Championship. I'm going to send it over to the commentators.
Well, let's be honest. I mean, NRG last year 3-0'd. This year they have one game to retain their title for another year of Smite World Champion.
And they've just been playing phenomenally across the board, every single member. And this composition still a very similar style. You have the Nemesis and the Amaterasu, which are going to be looking to dive the back line of Obey. And then you have Zeus and Chronos. And iRaffer's job, again, he's not on the Khepri this time, but it's the Geb, that same style. Just protect those backlines.
The thing that worries me is this Zeus for Yammyn. I mean, we've seen how effective he's been on it, as well as, again, emilitoo gets Chronos. We've seen Ataraxia play Chronos to a very high level during this tournament, but they stick to the Sylvanus pick. They're keeping PANDALIKE on this immobile Guardian, and picking Nemesis tells me that it's going to be NRG looking directly at the tree once more.
Well, we spoke to a lot of players through the years, and they always say in this scenario, if you are Obey, you take each game at a time. One win, one win, one win. And to be fair, PrettyPriMe and Ataraxia were in this position before in Season 1 World Championship.
Identical.
Maybe, just maybe, they can do it again.
3 best of ones. Last time it was a pocket pick of the Ymir. Just kind of the Ymir and Ares, just no one could deal with it on the side of COG Prime. This time it's going to be CaptainTwig on this Mercury. But NRG, they did get a few games with it against LG, so they're going to know exactly how CaptainTwig's going to play it.
It'll be interesting to see what emilitoo wants to itemize into, because if the fact that he's up against a Magical Hunter may dissuade him from going for the Celestial Legion helm, which would be great up against this Mercury from CaptainTwig. Getting that crit immunity is so important against Merc.
emilitoo on the left-hand side is round there on his own around the red buff now, looking to cheekily poke away at it and slow them down. Now Yammyn comes in too to join his Hunter for the time being. Meanwhile, in mid lane, it's support versus support.
And iRaffer just getting body blocked right now, but it looks like NRG should be able to steal this red buff away successfully. I love what iRaffer did there at the start, just kind of sitting into the mid lane and spotting out exactly where Obey was going to start out.
Yammyn going to take a decent amount of poke for his troubles, but again, he's gone for this tank boot start. No starter item, so that poke is going to be important due to the fact that he only has 1 health potion, but he's just so tanky early on.
It was a very interesting delayed invade from NRG there. Obviously, emilitoo leading the charge, and then Yammyn slowly following up. But on the right-hand side, Obey looking a little bit better here. They're going to get the fire elementals, with PANDALIKE still being in the mid lane with them. The right harpy's down, left down as well. It's back to your own half of the map.
And you can see Yammyn, or excuse me, Variety versus Dimi. Again, Variety on this assassin with the Ratatoskr. I mean, I really want to see how he plays it this time. It's going to be a lot harder against Dimi on this Amaterasu.
Low there, but he's going to fall back. Poseidon adapting to dash back too. Variety, a lot of poke from those minions, but he has the acorns, which will allow him to heal.
Not quite yet, though. He needs to finish it off, so it's going to be a little bit more gold for him in this lane. But the fact that he's going to get this wave solo compared to Dimi splitting it is going to accelerate him towards that finish acorn.
And that's been super critical on the right-hand side of the map, just the focus that CaptainTwig has put onto shutting down Dimi all game. I expect it to be the exact same thing. Teleport picked up for Variety, Wrath picked up for Dimi. Put pressure on, force him back, allow Variety to get a lead, play through him.
And we've seen that Variety's gotten the better of Dimi 2 times in each of the last games. I mean,
we might see a collapse in the jungle here, because Obey went very deep for those back harpies, and now the boys of Energy, they're not really happy about that, trying to poke out. The ball from Panda's good, but Yammyn once again gets support from iRaffer, and adapting turns his attention back.
Big tidal wave, and that's actually going to force adapting to run back into the mid lane. CaptainTwig can't get the pick off, but he's going to special delivery into the rest of his team. Yammyn very low, but the get shield from iRaffer going to keep him alive.
But CaptainTwig's in trouble, because here comes emilitoo. Prime picks up 1, emilitoo in response, and that is huge for Obey to get the first blood. But now PANDALIKE's in trouble too.
One more hit, it's so close. emilitoo looking for a time rift, finds it. NRG start off with 2 kills, but Obey did secure first blood.
The first blood is key, and you can see just how tanky Yammyn was with those reinforced greaves early on. He got so many chain lightnings off, and that was the key. But you called it right there, Kevin. The tidal wave from PrettyPriMe was so important to get adapting out of that fight early on.
And then now 2 kills to emilitoo. He's been the one that's really been hard carrying along with Yammyn. He's been playing Chronos all set, and it's very dangerous for him to have this 2-kill lead.
And this is just like Game 5 for Luminosity, up against Luminosity rather, for NRG, where emilitoo comes into an early fight and all of a sudden just gets a bunch of last hits, and it's so hard to fight into that as the Hunter waiting for him when he gets back to the left side.
Credit where it's true, but right-hand side,
Again?
Dimi's in trouble.
3 games in a row.
And Variety is solo. Dimi 3 times now. Variety once again. The opportune saving grace for Obey.
He's got to be the only hope for Obey right now, because this left-hand side, emilitoo, like I mentioned, those 2 kills, but this is a great god to give Variety that opportunity to carry on. This early game Ratatoskr just going to be able to make such an impact with his rotation.
Prime on the right-hand side, though, looking to invade and steal the speed buff if he can. Did manage to steal that one away, it seems, and now Twig round the side. Two-man ultimate, but it's not enough to slow them down. Adapting's in trouble, into the Kraken, and Obey's life is back. They're looking good, and they're looking for more. Yammyn's in trouble, he's gonna go down next, and Raph is gonna roll away as Obey clean up more.
NRG have to be feeling deja vu right now, because they just get crushed from the side by that Mercury ultimate. Just able to find it as well. He gets 2 sets of, he got a set of purification plus the Geb shield. There it is, CaptainTwig making the impact that Obey need.
And you also saw there Yammyn just pushing forward afterwards, trying to zone out, but his team still got picked up. And because he was so overextended, even with those tank boots, 1v3, he's not going to be able to do anything. And PANDALIKE, again, perfect route, perfect pull, getting Obey back into the game.
And it seems like the team communication is so much better this time around. Yeah, PANDALIKE was able to pull Yammyn out of that whirlpool, but the tidal wave was still waiting for him afterwards. Obey looking much, much cleaner. The communication is still there, and that's so hard to do whenever you've had 2 demoralizing games like they've had to start off the series.
And also a solid start for CaptainTwig. He did die once, but he's got a 2-level lead right now over adapting. He was definitely struggling in the early parts of Game 1 and Game 2, but now in this situation, he doesn't have to be the front line in the early game. He's actually just gonna want NRG to engage onto his team and use those sonic booms to run through and disrupt.
and this is the first time we've seen him not pick up Wrath in the jungle either, so he has that defensive relic to get away if necessary. Not the Sanctuary that you usually see against the Zeus, but looking to use that Purification to get away from the Geb knockups.
Very interesting compositions from the two teams right now, but Obey are in a good position. They've got a small gold lead of around 2,000 gold, but at 5 minutes, 2,000 gold is pretty substantial.
It's a good amount, mostly when it comes to hitting your power spikes. Who's going to get that first item online? Is it going to be CaptainTwig? You can see he's actually working on crit very early on. Once that starts rolling through, he's going to be able to get to those backline carries.
But the good news, if you're an NRG fan, is that looking at the net worth, it's everyone from Obey behind emilitoo. Those 2 early kills coming up so huge. Even if the rest of Obey is winning on the right side of the map, like Variety's been able to do, they have the faith that emilitoo is going to be able to make the play.
But it looks like Obey recognize that, so they turn their attention to the left-hand side and look for emilitoo. But he will take a fight against an army if he can, waiting for reinforcements. Ulted in place from the Mercury ultimate again, Racket again, but emilitoo still alive, and Yammyn and NRG are here to defend.
Obey on the retreat right there, and CaptainTwig unfortunately just missing his special delivery at the start of the fight. emilitoo turns around, and then he's just able to buy so much time for iRaffer to rotate. Not on the Capri this time, but that Geb shield just allowing emilitoo to stay in the fight, bait a little bit longer, and then find the rewind.
Oh, wait 1 second. Dimi and Variety again, and Dimi's gonna die again. The Scouser from the UK is really stepping up in his first World Championship. But meanwhile, Yammyn's in trouble.
Very low, gonna buy some time with the Sanctuary. PrettyPriMe on the other end does get picked off. And CaptainTwig and Ataraxia just trying to retreat. Too low mana to fight this right now. PANDALIKE makes the rotation, but Variety has teleported in.
And he's going to get emilitoo in place. emilitoo didn't see it coming. The lazy back may hurt him now. And into the sky goes Variety. But emilitoo jukes it out. Rapper's here with the Cataclysm and adapting too. Variety, no ultimate. He's got to be very careful.
And just emilitoo continuously getting saved. Adapting, still trying to fight though. Variety is huge in this match. 3-0-0. He's level 11. Almost everyone on NRG is 4 levels behind him at 7 minutes.
And the only one who's close is emilitoo level 9, whereas everyone Obey is level 9. This experience difference is coming up big right now for Obey. They've got the lead. This is exactly what you need in a do-or-die game. A great start like this, especially around one of your star players like Variety.
And I love this. Now, 3 games in a row, excuse me, Obey has gotten an early lead in the solo lane. Variety just controlling Dimi completely, except in this game, they're rotating him over early.
You can see Eager in the crowd there on the left-hand side, watching the finals on the crowd like that one. They had a fantastic semi-final yesterday up against Obey, but Obey right now have walked into NRG once more, and still they have failed to win a game against the world champions.
Variety already taken down this solo tower on the right-hand side, and that could actually be a bad thing for Obey because he's not able to deny that minion advantage to Dimi in that solo lane. You'd like to see him be able to push those towers consistently underneath. Now you can see how far Variety has to be pushed up in order to get this farm. This leaves him very susceptible to a gank from adapting.
It looks like he's actually trying to set up for a kill on Dimi. He wants Dimi to push this wave and then move forward. Dimi hasn't taken the bait. He has no idea that Variety's sitting here right now. He's just trying to stalemate this as long as possible. Like you mentioned, without that tower, he wants the minions next to his tier 2.
And Variety wants to fight
He got the silence.
Very aggressive onto Dimi, but Dimi doesn't panic, just falls back. Meanwhile, left-hand side, a grouping from Obey.
And this is what Obey needs to do with this huge lead, is just keep applying the pressure into NRG.
Ultimate early on PrettyPriMe, and he's going to run for his life right now. CaptainTwig there to support, but a Kraken defensively used from Prime. Big ultimate down from the mid laner means that Obey have to back up. Adapting still giving chase with the Nemesis.
Whirlpool gonna force Adapting to loop around, still looking for the slice and dice.
Oh,
PrettyPriMe though, tidal waving, buying some time. And here comes Twig.
Right hand side, Twig goes in with the ult, looking for Yammyn, and Yammyn's one hit from death. In the skies, Variety. He wants emilitoo. Meanwhile, Yammyn has already fallen down. emilitoo on his last legs, gonna fall down into the tower. The crowd erupts, but Dimi is here.
And he's gonna find one, answers back. Variety still wants to dive this under tower though.
Variety.
Dimi stunned and body blocked, but the Wrath's gonna buy Dimi time. Ataraxia canceling his Disaparate, gets the last hit, but Adapting's back in the fight.
The Sanctuary will buy him a moment, and Variety goes in again. Takes one more tower shot, still stands all back and forth, blow for blow. These teams are going at it right now.
Very surprised to see CaptainTwig continue on the aggression on the left-hand side instead of using that Sonic Boom to come back and help PrettyPriMe, but it turns out well for Obey in the end. It's because of that rotation from Variety. I love this idea. Keep putting pressure on this left-hand side. Keep emilitoo from having that potential to carry the game. Variety's good on the right-hand side, clearly by the way he's been able to play so far.
And NRG, though, getting a chance to actually take a fight at the start of it. When Variety's not in, they can definitely go toe-to-toe with Obey's four-man composition. They were able to force PrettyPriMe back very early in that fight. And again, it was Variety not even teleporting in, just walking over the lane because that teleport was down.
Speed bumping there on the right-hand side from Obey. They're going to steal away, but in the mid lane, the Kraken on Rapper hits, and Rapper's already fallen down. Dimi has turned up, but he can't get the ultimate off in time to save his support. However, PANDALIKE's now going to go in trade, 1-for-1, but Variety up, Variety down, and they're still looking to box.
Variety just wants to fight as much as possible at this point in the game. Now, Obey do trade out 1-for-1, but this is allowing CaptainTwig to rotate over and try and steal these buffs. I love the aggression from Obey. Keep fighting as much as possible.
They just have to be wary of what they're losing in the process. PANDALIKE was a little bit late on that ultimate. Luckily for him, so was adapting. That Nemesis ultimate should have come out whenever he was the focus from Dimi, but even though Dimi's so far behind, he's been able to farm very well. Now, only 2 levels behind Variety. He's picked up 2 kills in his last 2 rotations, and that's so important.
Now, Obey at the moment, yes, they do have a lead in this game, but there's been 18 kills in 12 minutes. Does one team benefit more than the other? Wait a second! Dimi got body blocked, then the Mercurial, then the spin. The Raph will buy him a moment, and Dimi's on the run.
And here's Raffer once again, coming into the support of his side lanes, doing such a great job of the second Obey gets aggressive, he immediately starts booking it to that side.
But I like the fact that we did not see CaptainTwig use his Purification. It was up right there, and that is such a greedy use of that defensive relic. Instead, holds it. He's already put the pressure on. Let's back up, especially with that rotation from Raffer. That could have ended very, very badly for Obey.
Well, Gold Fury right now is available for the 2 teams as per usual, and the dance may start to begin. The fire elementals around the fire jet have now stopped spawning, so everybody's paying attention to the left-hand side.
And Obey just saw Yammyn back to the base, so they're going to be forcing this. This is a great start to the fight. Raffer rolling around the side right now is going to knock up 2, but there's his escape, pulled just off the mark from PANDALIKE.
But Ataraxia's been very quiet right now, but his kills are saying a different story as Dimi is forced to ultimate, and NRG actually going to engage on this, but a Kraken hits 3, forcing the rewind out of emilitoo 2. The chain lightning does work, but still, Variety gets Raffer, and Variety's going for more in the back. Yammyn's in trouble.
5-0 and 2, 6-0 and 2. Variety is doing so much for Obey right now. He has been everything in the backside, though. emilitoo barely able to outplay Twig on that last hit.
Chased down. Ataraxia is on his way. emilitoo may have to sacrifice himself. Oh, he's going to juke out one, but the tower won't claim his life. But Ataraxia shakes his head on the screen. Meanwhile, Prime, though, emilitoo drawing all that attention, allows Dimi to get one, but guess what? Variety will kill Dimi again.
Variety is the saving grace for Obey right now. He has half of their kills, and then he's been involved in another 2, level 16, and you can see just how difficult it is for Yammyn to survive on this immobile Zeus, even with the tank boots, even with the Warlock Sash now being completed, even with the Geb Shield, it's still not enough to save him from Variety.
And the start of that fight was iRaffer actually rolling out on the top side of the mid camps. He wasn't in position to protect his backline when they got dove on.
Variety down at Smite now, as you can see the ult trade on the left-hand side of the map. Variety forced to Sanctuary, Rapper on his way round 2. Variety has finally been off too much. No! I apologize, Variety, because you will get away from what I thought was going to be impending doom.
We've seen this from Variety before. He starts to feel himself. He's like, yeah, I'm the world. I can do it all. And then he almost bites off a little bit too much, but nice use of Sanctuary, muting 2 tower shots there after the slow from adapting.
This pace, though, I mean, there's 24 kills in the game, and we've just hit 15 minutes. That's great. Why is it so fast-paced? And who is it benefiting?
It's just a solo lane assassin getting ahead. They're so hard to deal with in lane when they have a little bit of a lead. And not only that, Variety has the double globals. He's got the teleport and doing a great job of positioning himself in team fights. And then his ultimate just able to dive onto that back line and keep repeatedly picking off Yammyn.
And it's benefiting Obey because they have that late game engage coming from that Ratatoskr. They sustain coming in the late game from PANDALIKE, and the big damage coming from Soul and Mercury in the
Left hand side, a lot of pressure on emilitoo again. The Supernova does not hit home. The rewind will buy him a moment to get back to his teammate. That is iRaffer. But in the jungle, it's Variety who's trying to rotate round. He's going to ult out the Cataclysm, and PANDALIKE hits 2 with a big vine ultimate. The Kraken hits Adapting, but Adapting still fine.
Variety on low health, just trying to get out, but he's slowed right now. Actually jukes out the timer.
No
Still
way.
alive. Sonic Boom through the team fight.
Yammyn's still
CaptainTwig on
alive.
2.
How is Yammyn still alive? I don't understand. Twig is going to have to run away. The detonate absorbed by the Sanctuary.
How is that a 1-for-1? Look at the health bars adapting, barely dashing away from CaptainTwig there. He has speed buff, but no
Minions.
special delivery to close this gap.
He's got the speed buff, and that's going to buy him enough time just to get there if he needs to, but going to play it safe.
Variety,
Variety's
behind
on
the tower.
backside. He's got him! The Lions, they kill!
Erupts as the Gold Fury goes 2. Everyone knows that Smite fans love an underdog, and there's none better right now than Obey.
Variety just trying to dash away right now. Good route from PANDALIKE. Gonna buy him some time. The Geb shield to make sure emilitoo wasn't gonna get knocked up.
emilitoo able to find PANDALIKE there underneath the tower. Emil, just like Variety was a saving grace for Obey, Emil is the one for NRG.
Well, NRG can now siege up the tier 1 tower in mid lane. The response, the speed of the game. Mercury does not have ultimate to get back to the mid lane just yet. Tier 1 tower down. It answers some of what the Gold Fury did.
But again, this is the later we go for Obey. The only late game that we see on the side of NRG, actually, the more I look at it, the more they have. I thought initially that it was NRG who had the earlier game composition, but it's Dimi has those auras in the late game.
Variety trading with 2, and round the back comes iRaffer. Support there from Twig, but Twig gets hit by the ultimate from Nemesis and has to fall back as well. Adapting wants to push on, but Variety at level 17 is just swinging so hard.
Another thing that we didn't talk about are the recent changes for Mercury, getting that slow immunity whenever he activates maximum velocity. So when he gets Nemesis ulted or hit by the slice and dice, you'll see him pop that second ability, get the attack speed steroid, as well as cleanse any previous lows.
And actually, CaptainTwig going into Poison Star. This is a crit item we almost rarely see, but able to reduce the damage of opponents that he crits.
As well as slow them, and that's the big one. It allows CaptainTwig to be able to stay on emilitoo or Yammyn or whoever he's critting with those auto attacks and stick on them and hit them for each more and more damage, as well as reduce their damage output, increasing his boxing ability.
On the left-hand side, CaptainTwig will take that tier 1 tower down, answering back the 1 they lost in the mid lane as well, allowing them to even up, but he's got to be careful because emilitoo is sneaking round the back.
And they're going to go aggressive. CaptainTwig dashing away. He has Sonic Boom, so should be safe. And NRG know they're not going to be able to chase him, but in the meantime,
Paul in the mid lane on iRaffer, but it's only onto a tank, so they can slow the pace down. Obey look to siege the tier 1 in response. And meanwhile, with Dimi now rotating, allow Variety to stop pressuring the tier 2.
Obey just splitting the map right now, not only baiting 2 players to the left-hand side, but then Variety just split pushing. You saw NRG start to 5-man group in the mid to deal with Obey's split push, but now they have to deal with these side lanes as well.
Mid lane, emilitoo has turned up, bit of damage onto PANDALIKE there. Good juggle, they're looking for the Zeus ult too. Trying to burst down PANDALIKE, but the Kraken trying to slow that opportunity down. PANDALIKE one hit, Adapting will kill him. And now in comes emilitoo.
Ataraxia trying to get away right now. Adapting gonna ult on Ataraxia. CaptainTwig through the team fight, but great purification. Gonna make sure Yammyn can pick up Ataraxia.
And Variety couldn't be there because he was completely out of mana. Dimi didn't let him back either. Those are the exact fights that NRG want to take. Any fight where Variety, the super fed solo laner, isn't there. Any 4v4 engagement is in NRG's favor right now.
And you could see, not only was he not there, but he was so low mana as well. So even if he had walked into the team fight, there was no way he was going to be able to get off more than a single rotation of cooldowns. That was a call out by Dimi, I believe. He was the one on the right-hand side protecting that tower, knew that Variety at the very least would have to spend the time hitting the back button, getting his mana back, and then teleporting into the fight.
Well, you can see it's about a 6,000 gold lead and 4,000 gold lead, 6,000 experience lead for Obey right now, but it's not enough to close this game out. It's only 20 minutes in. This game has developed very, very quickly that these kills are still going to respawn very quickly.
And it's unbelievable that Variety is 8-0-2, and Obey are only 4,000 ahead after controlling these Gold Furies, invading jungle camps on cooldown.
But again, it's because of emilitoo and how much work he's done in these team fights. But he doesn't have any physical protection. He hasn't gone for one of the helmets. CaptainTwig needs to look at him and blow him up before that Sanctuary is able to go out.
And CaptainTwig, he's been doing a great job of disrupting these fights. I almost don't even think he needs to jump on emilitoo. It should be Variety at this point.
Straight onto Prime there, but there's no follow-up available. Wasted ultimate from Adapting.
And I like the Spear of the Magus being picked up by PrettyPriMe here. It's going to augment the damage of Ataraxia. Stacking those Obsidian Shards, not the most efficient way to build your pen items. If you have two mages on the team, you'll see the Whirlpool be laid down directly into the damage from Ataraxia.
Also going into the Gym of Isolation, there's no sprint on the side of NRG. If they're going to deal with that, they have to start investing into Wing Blades. It's only emilitoo who has it right now.
And one of those characters that struggles the most against chain slows like a Gem of Isolation Whirlpool is Geb. I love the pickup, as well as Adapting, needs that mobility. Dimi is going to be crippled by the Whirlpool, so I like the pickup, going for this utility build on this side. And the Krakens are still going to hurt, don't get me wrong, but the cooldown boots, Spear, and Gem of Isolation tells me that they're looking for PrettyPriMe to be the zone control.
Well, you may not realize it, but the second Gold Fury of the game has just respawned. Yes, we've had that much action after one Gold Fury, and now the dance begins again. Keep an eye around the back where emilitoo is right now.
And he's just going to put some poke damage onto PrettyPriMe. Ataraxia sitting on that left-hand side now, just trying to make sure emilitoo doesn't wrap around, and Variety is just putting pressure on this solo lane. He has teleport, he's able to pressure out Dimi. Obey should not force this without Variety.
From Rapid to slow them down. Takes a lot of punishment for that though. Yammyn's all over the wall, really helps him out, and he still stays standing. But PANDALIKE's route is good, and he jukes out the Mercury, and into the sky goes Adapting.
Variety also to the sky, jumps down on the back line. Dimi's already taken out Twig. Yammyn is just juking so long, and now Dimi's using that movement speed order to try and get his team out.
PANDALIKE goes down, Yammyn's still alive, but he will fall thanks to the help of the Gold Fury. Ataraxia wants to keep fighting though. His teammates are too weak to carry on, and so it looks like Obey may turn their attention to him. Dimi's taking a lot of punishment round the corner. There's PrettyPriMe, and emilitoo's now fighting a 2v2.
And Variety he just can't lock down a target right now. He does pick up emilitoo in the end. It's going to be 4 dead on the side of NRG, Adapting the last alive. He's trying to loop around this Gold Fury. Variety, is his wrath up right now?
Well, he knows he's still an award, but he's still got plenty of time. The Gold Fury's at a decent health pool right now. Ataraxia is getting weakened by this, and Variety is on zone duty, trying to stop Adapting. The shield comes up and absorbs the damage. It heals him back, and now the Gold Fury has to be reset.
Variety's got to take to the sky, but he comes back down. The Gap shield gonna save him for a second, but it's not enough.
Variety and Obey win another big fight, and the Gold Fury is gonna fall. Obey, they've got to take it one game at a time, and they're doing just that.
Talk about playing with fire. Ataraxia, Variety, so low health. Adapting has the confidence. He's got the shield. He goes in, and even with the shield from iRaffer, enough damage between the two to punch through, get the double kill, and secure the Gold Fury.
10-0-5. Variety has been the MVP of this set so far, even with Obey down 0-2 right now. We saw NRG, though, again, try and take the fight at the Gold Fury. It went great for them. Trading out 2v2 when you're this far behind is great. But after that fight, Obey is now going to be looking to force.
The Fire Giant is low, but Obey no energy! Energy stolen! Are you kidding? Energy! They managed to get the Fire Giant, are you serious? Rapper misses though, and Prime picks up Dimi. There's the ultimate from CaptainTwig there. They want Rapper, but he's still too tanky. On the front line, Variety trying to slow them down, but Energy are fighting back. They have the Fire Giant.
iRaffer just trying to protect his team for now. emilitoo gets the rewind as Yammyn secures the kill onto Ataraxia. PANDALIKE just trying to run away. Great Whirlpool from PrettyPriMe.
But still, Energy march on. They want PANDALIKE. They're trying to collapse. but Panda's jukes are just too good. He's still buying more time, and Yammyn has to dive all the way deep. Not deep enough though, PandaLike will live.
Why does anyone do an objective around Dimi ever? Because he's gonna get it. He's gotten so many in this series. Again, able to steal away the Fire Giants just when it looks like Obey are gonna be able to take a game off NRG. Dimi shuts the door.
That is one thing that Obey has been incredibly weak on.
Oh, that was close.
Barely getting the back off, but the control on objectives has just not been there for Obey in this set. It's been, like you said, Dimi and adapting, just doing such a great job of disrupting. We've seen stolen Gold Furies, stolen Fire Giants. Obey need to be incredibly careful around these and play around the Wrath. They don't have one on their team.
But it wasn't even the Wrath, it was the dazzling offense from Dimi. It was just a small amount of damage, not even with the mirror combined with it. You just have to be able at this level to burst an objective at the right time.
Also,
you have to be able to time your abilities to get it down from a big number like 750, 800 damage to 0 instantly to not allow that to
Adapting got hit big with that big old crit there. The shield comes up early. PandaLike can't hit the root, but in the sky's Variety. He may chase this.
Oh, Sanctuary gonna buy him some time. CaptainTwig just off the mark, but he still finds the kill onto Adapting. But NRG taking a fight in the mid in the meantime.
And
Dimi going forward, looking for Ataraxia.
Not going to find him, however, the Kraken used by Prime as a tier 2 on the right does fall down for Obey. Even though NRG had the Fire Giant, they have to fall back and defend.
The tower push capability of this composition for Obey is nuts. You've got a Mercury with Titan's Bane. You've got a Soul that has the Obsidian Shard and the Telkine's Ring for attack speed. These towers are not going to stand for long under siege.
Well, tier 2 tower is being sieged right now. PandaLike has the Crow from it for the time being. Not long though, as it will fall down. Obey continue to extend the gold lead.
Now they've got about a 9,000 gold lead, 11,000 experience. The fights have been raging on, but they've actually been incredibly split, which has really benefited NRG so far. If Obey just group up and play around their Sylvanus heals, they can start to siege up into the rest of the towers. They've only got one on the left-hand side.
The only AoE you really have to worry about on the side of NRG is that Lightning Storm from Yammyn. Once that's down, or even if you're able to shell that for PandaLike, you can really group up pretty tightly and look to focus down emilitoo. He's the one that you have to be looking for if you're on Obey. He doesn't have the Ratatoskr completed quite yet, but it's very, very close. And once he does, it's going to be very hard to contain him.
I mean, realistically, we've seen Obey really do command this game right now. That Fire Giant that was stolen by NRG have bought them a moment's respite. It will allow them to catch up a little bit in terms of experience and gold and get to those power spikes they so desperately need.
But you could see the Soul Reaver already completed for Yammyn in the middle lane. He's using that to augment the damage that's a little bit lacking from the Warlock Sash build, but he is so tanky. He also has the penetration online, so you know, even though that health pool is large, he's going to be able to put out the damage necessary. You can see it right now, second on his team.
And that's one of the big things that has been going well for Yammyn ever since the start of the game. He really got off onto a bad foot. Variety was just able to easily dive into the back line. He had, I believe, a 4 or 5 level lead on him at one point, but with that bonus health pool, Yammyn can still die in fights, but as long as he can get his Lightning Storm off, multiple stacks, and detonate players, it's still okay for NRG.
And I like that decision from him to go for raw health instead of physical protection, because Variety has gone for a very offensive style of build. He's going to be able to punch through any sort of physical protection that Yammyn would have gone, but this health is going to be much harder for that assassin to get through it.
Gold Fury started up by Obey. NRG recognize it, but can they get there in time? Adapting first on the scene, and there's Raph with a Blink Cataclysm, but he's in a Whirlpool and a Kraken, but still Raph is alive. Obey are forced back right now as the Gold Fury resets.
Great job of disengaging now. Variety's going to look for the re-engage, but immediately getting ulted.
Boom! It hits onto the backside, but it's not enough to dissuade NRG. They stay grouped. Dimi, a little bit low there, but round the back is Yammyn being focused, and emilitoo forced to rewind as well. Both teams dancing around. The sustain is available for PandaLike and Obey.
They have the sustain, and NRG know that. They're trying to push forward and fight before the Wisp comes out. The second they see those procs, though, immediately NRG have to disengage. They cannot get into a poke war against the sustain on the side of Sylvanus.
But just look how good NRG are here. They're world champions for a reason. They are down 9K, and they are still fighting. And right now, they just picked up PandaLike for absolutely free.
I just don't understand that pathing. to be honest with you. I really don't. The 8th death there for PandaLike, this is his job on this team, right, is to die for his carries. Nate talks about it all the time. Ataraxia loves the fact that he's got a support in a jungler that are willing to die to keep him alive, but that is not a death you need to take, especially if you're looking at the Fire Giant.
Still down a man. Obey are going to force the Fire Giant. 2 players on energy. Both the mages back in base, and this should be relatively free as Variety jumps forward to zone out NRG.
Love the call from Variety there. He's like, listen, boys, not this time. No one's walking into this Fire Giant. No way. I will zone with the ultimate.
And who does he go for? Dimi. Keep Dimi out of my Fire Giant pit.
And Dimi, yeah, you cannot let Dimi have even a sliver of chance at stealing away another objective. This is the first FG that Obey has picked up in this match. Again, it's been just chaos fighting. This is when Obey is going to start grouping up. Abuse the Fire Giant region, abuse the healing coming out for PandaLike. They also do have great siege potential. Stellar Burst is so good in Phoenix situations because you have to tightly group if you're energy to properly mount a defense.
And this is the man I'm looking at in this next engagement, CaptainTwig. He's 4-4-9, but he's got the full build. He's finished it off with the Bloodforge, which is just a ton of power. 75 physical power, plus he's able to find a
Definitely
kill.
Best game he's had so far in the finals, and there. This is what happens when you get to the later stages. The items come online, and eventually people are basically going to turn into paper.
And you can see now, all that energy saw on the map was CaptainTwig on the right-hand side, and he's just buying a ton of time, but his ultimate has been forced right there. And you see multiple members of Obey on the left-hand side, but energy should be able to back.
I don't think they can get back in time to stop the Phoenix on the left. Obey are going to get this Phoenix for free. Energy are here. Maybe iRaffer can blink in, but he's still got people recalling. No, the Phoenix goes down. Obey, nice one.
Twig gonna eat the ultimate from Yammyn, trades out his Sanctuary for it, but again, it's just to keep them from backing. This is Twig knowing exactly what Energy like to do in these situations and playing to counter that.
And Yammyn is just getting so distracted. He knows that the Mercury's faster than him, so there's no chance that he is ever gonna be able to back. CaptainTwig will not let him.
Cataclysm and the ultimate all on Prime. He purifies away, and in the end of it, it's Ataraxia who took the brunt of it. Kraken off the mark. Meanwhile, Variety is gonna stop adapting from getting to his carries. PandaLike on POG. emilitoo doing what he can, but the rewind is perfect.
Really good right there now, and you can actually see CaptainTwig going aggressive on a Yammyn. Finally, that Bloodforge plays off huge. He finds the pick onto the Zeus.
You cannot 1v1 Mercury at 32 minutes. You just can't. There's not a character that Energy has to deal with CaptainTwig right now.
And with Yammyn being down, Obey feel they can push on the mid lane as well. The Phoenix is exposed here. Dimi is here. emilitoo's here. No ultimates available for Energy right now, but they're still trying to fight emilitoo. Sanctuary is down. Shield from Raph is going to buy him time. Knockup is good too. As then once again, Dimi goes back in.
He was trying to zone, but now it's trouble. He's caught on the wrong side of this whirlpool. Ataraxia find him. 3 players left alive for NRG to defend this, and it doesn't look like Obey's gonna even go for that final finish.
Obey are currently feeding off the crowd's emotion. The crowd wants them to get him to a game 4, and CaptainTwig's gonna do it too. Obey are gonna do the impossible. They took a game off the world champ. Look at their emotion. That's just one game. They still gotta do it 2 more times.
They've got 2 best of ones. That needs to be their mindset. And I mean, this is the exact same situation Ataraxia and PrettyPriMe were in Worlds Season 1 Finals. Down 0-2 to COG Prime, and they bring out a surprise pick, this time a Merc.
If you can't hear it at home, the crowd is chanting, Obey, 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 Obey. That's some Europeans right there, because that's a real football chant, tell you that. Aggro, that game's amazing.
You can see how much that game meant to Obey. They jumped up like they had won the series, but it was only one game. They needed this, and in particular, Variety needed that. Such a huge game from him, literally carrying Obey through that early game and then passing the torch to CaptainTwig in the late game.
You're down 2 games after 2 monumental ones, and to fight back, that's what Obey just did. Analysts, tell us all about what went down.
In a very emotional victory, Obey managed to bring it back at the very least for now as they take game number 3 and they do not get swept on the world stage. Welcome back to the Analyst Desk, folks. We have been just honored with some top tier Smite. This is amazing.
Variety's backpack is so big right now on that Ratatoskr, just making so many good plays.
I mean, we've been talking about it before. He's been the MVP for Obey this entire tournament, and he is not stopping now that they need him most.
But can we talk about Twig, man? While Variety went absolutely off, and numerous times, and for due reason, he is a phenomenal Ratatoskr in the solo. I have to say, man, like, Twig, dude, that Mercury pick was awesome.
It definitely helped him out in the late game. We saw some opportunities where he picked off Yammyn, caught out of position. The Zeus first pick didn't work out, unfortunately, for the boys of NRG.
Yammyn was still providing a bunch of damage from Zeus. He was still getting all of his abilities off, but unfortunately in the early game, he was only getting 1 round of his abilities off before he was dying, so he wasn't giving as much as an impact that he had in the past when he was on gods like Janus.
All right, so this win was necessary for them. They were able to, as you guys were talking about before, really just beat out that Zeus, which they have been fearing Zeus. That was their first ban numerous times in this matchup. And they do so in style. I want to get your thoughts here on the Poseidon pick from PrettyPriMe. It was great to see it being used essentially on the Obey side, because one could have easily have thought that this would not have worked out nearly as well as NRG executed it.
I think the issue was the Poseidon going into the Geb. The shield was just not as good as the Khepri revive coming out of iRaffer compared to the previous games.
I do want to say though that the Poseidon play was a little bit off. We saw quite a few Krakens coming out onto Chronos as he was going to rewind, didn't get the kill, meaning basically his ultimate was useless in quite a few fights. He needs to be a little bit more patient before he starts to throw it out.
It's true. That's true. Look for him to have to tighten that up going into game 4. All right, so Dimi. Dimi. This dude, don't go for the objective when Dimi is still alive. Somehow, some way, this man steals a fire giant under the nose of Obey. And I mean, honestly, I'm lost for words on that play.
You can never count out NRG. Every single member is always in a position to do something to get their team back into the game. Before in the past, it was always adapting or emilitoo split pushing, finding ways to get back in the game. And now it's Dimi being able to steal these important objectives.
Dimi was trying to make up for earlier in the game. Part of the reason why NRG was in that position was because he was getting soloed by Variety earlier in the game. He tried to make a comeback for the team by getting the Fire Giant, but it was too little too late.
Especially on the Amaterasu. If you struggle that early on, and then you just allow the Ratatoskr to make these rotations, you're asking for your team to be in a world of hurt.
And now you're in a position here, if you're NRG, you're like, okay, well, we kind of got worked on tier, right? So we have to worry about the tier. But then you have to worry about the Ratatoskr as well, which is easily a pick that they could take for themselves, right? I mean, without a doubt. Where do you see NRG prioritizing their bans in the first phase?
I feel like they're going to try to get something for iRaffer that he's more comfortable on, because the Geb was good, but it could be better. If he had the Khepri or maybe even the Sylvanus instead, he would have been in a position to keep his teammates alive. We saw emilitoo sometimes just struggling a little bit without that Khepri revive.
Yeah, iRaffer has some options, like you said, like with the Sylvanus. I wouldn't even worry too much about iRaffer. I think we need to get Dimi on something just a little bit more comfortable. So, I mean, let's be honest, Variety was the reason why Obey won that game, and it was because he started to snowball early against Dimi. So get Dimi on something that doesn't have such a hard laning phase. AMA not known particularly for a strong laning phase. She's a team fight god. Getting on something a little bit stronger early so he can do fine against him in lane.
Yeah, but, you know, I mean, well, granted, it wasn't like the most explosive game, but you got to talk about Ataraxia and Soul. He had that one play at Gold Fury. I mean, they managed just, I don't even know how they did that. That was insane. I had to look to you to hold me because it was just too much.
So it was basically Variety that was able to go into the sky on the Ratatoskr, come back down instantly, keeping Ataraxia alive at 1% health, and then the lifesteal from the Soul just kept him alive.
Ataraxia's basic attacks, 1 at a time, were keeping him just barely above that threshold. But like we say, 1 HP is all you need.
That's all you need if you have the lifesteal, and that's what allowed Ataraxia to survive for so long. And more importantly, rally and get this first win in the best-of-5 set.
I think that was by far the most important thing. Any other team with that game 1 and the way that it went pretty much Dead to rights was NRG. And yet somehow, some way, God knows how, the gods know, I should say, how this team managed to survive. Anyone could tilt in that situation, but Obey kept it together, and that they needed a reset mentally, and they got that.
That's a huge test to their mental fortitude to be able to bounce back after losing 2 games in a row to NRG. Now they won the first one. The question is, can they win 2 more?
It's going to be, I mean, this is
And you said
NRG
it
that we're
before.
talking about. Winning multiple games against them, period, especially in a row, is very difficult. But we talked about a little bit earlier where Obey has been in this situation before. Ataraxia, PrettyPriMe, they know what it's like to be on the down and out and have to rally the team to come back together. So this could be the year to do it.
It could be.